So here it is, the completed install, but what we're gonna do now is walk you through how we got here. There's a lot of steps to this process, so you're gonna wanna watch the video in its entirety to see all the details. Now, if you haven't watched the video preceding this one, I go over a lot of details that are gonna be omitted here. This video is an installation. The previous video was the full review. All right, so that being said, let's get to it, show you how this install went. All right, so for your initial setup, looking up the model number here on the 11N. So you have a minimum height, which would be the C column on 11N, which tells us 20 and 3/16 inch minimum from the floor. So basically, if we just easily probably round up to 24 inches, that's more than enough, but you don't want to go any lower than that. You see where so your C is your height, your minimum height. First of all, we're going to find where we're going to put it, which is basically in the center of this wall. First of all, I'm going to measure it out, find my center point, and then we're not going to set it right at the center point necessarily, but we're going to find our studs to either side of that center point, and we're going to place it between those studs. You see the dotted line here is a stud to the right hand side. The dotted line here on this diagram is the stud on the left hand side. So your B measurement is the distance. So you basically look and you say, well, I'm going to go off the stud on the left hand side. You look up in your chart on the model 11N that we're dealing with, and you look on your B that says go 6 inches and 13/16 inch from your stud over, and that'll be your center point to the square that we're going to cut. If you're going to go from the right hand side, you go by the A measurement, and your A measurement here is 9 inches and 1/8. So you would just measure off, and that finds your center point there. You would think that it would be in the center of the studs, but actually it's not, because you look on the back side here, and this is not actually in the center of the unit. It's actually decentered over a little bit on the side. So that's why you have a difference in measurement. It's not in the dead center of the studs. So we're actually trying to position the heater, or the bracket the heater mounts to, is going to mount to the studs to hold the weight, but this is actually decentered over. It's not quite the center. Basically, we can just kind of hold this up here and get an idea of where we want it. I'm looking at this area as the general center, but you know, somewhere over here, basically, in this area. So we're gonna at least take some measurements here, find our center point, find these studs, and I want to put it somewhere in this area. I'm just gonna go 21. I'm just gonna start here. I'm gonna find the stud to the right and the left of this. This is general descent, whatever you want. Double check it. Right there. Just gonna put us over to the left in it. Double check. Yeah, right there. Measure this, make sure. This should be the inside of both studs. They say that C measurement, your minimum, is just a minimum height. So 20 and 3/16. All I did was round it up to 21. Not a big deal, personal preference. You just don't want to go less than that from the floor. So we have our height measurement, and we have the studs that we're going to mount to, so we know we're in the center of that. So we'll just draw a level line across that height measurement. There. That's going to be the center point of our hole. And then from there, depending on whether you just take a pick, right or the right side or the left. So what I want to do is find the center point of this guy. So So there's my 1.5 inch width of the stud. So 3/4 is going to be the center point, which is about right there. Going off the left stud, which is the B measurement. The B measurement tells me that I'm going to go 6 3/16 inch. Or I'm sorry, 6 13/16 inches. So going off the center of that stud, 6 13/16. So that'll be the center point there. And if I really want, I could draw a plumb line here. All right, X marks the spot. That's the center. Now I'm going back to D. You see D is from the top and the bottom of the square we're going to cut. D tells us for all models 11.25 by 11.25. We're going off the center point. So what we got to do is go half of that, which is what, 5 5/8 should be our center, or half of that. So 5 5/8. Same thing over here. We'll do the same thing vertically. Draw this line all across here just because. So we just got to draw our square from these lines. Now how you do that, level makes it easy. So we're going to make another plumb line on that. So I'm getting the center up here for my plumb. I'm up against my mark here. So I'm just going to strike a line right there. Do the same thing on this other side. Make sure we're plumb up top. We're going to do the same across the bottom. We're just going to make it level. Now we're just looking at the level line right there. Same thing here. So we're just going to cut out this outside square. So just double checking our measurements for the square cut out. This is what's going to go in that square cutout, right? It's our heat shield that's going through the wall. So I just want to hold it up here and just make sure that that looks right according to what we drew out here, and it does. It looks good. If it doesn't match up with this square, then we probably calculated wrong, measured wrong, something. We want to backtrack and see what we got going on. Another little note here, by the way, why it has this kind of breakaway area is in case you actually just had 2x4 walls instead of 2x6 walls, which plenty of houses do. You would actually break away this other piece, and that would give you the depth for the 2x4 wall. In this case, we have the 2x6 walls, so we leave that intact. Also, just double checking here, this is the bracket. It mounts to this guy right here already, but I'm not doing that just yet. At any rate, this is going to mount to the wall, it's going to mount to the studs, and then the heater is going to mount to this guy. So it's going to actually hold the weight on the wall. I want to make sure that this center point actually lines up to the center point of this, while this lines up with the studs that it's going to screw into, right? Which, by the way, this is 16 on center studs, which is your typical house. Almost all houses have 16-inch on center studs. Yours could be different, who knows? But as long as your house is 16 on center studs, these holes will line up to the center point of those studs. So I've got this left-hand stud, the center point marked right there. So I'm just going to line up my holes here, kind of with that center point of the stud, and then I'm looking at this line for the center point of this hole, which it pretty much is. I'm just going to kind of slide down to the center point of where the square is being cut out, and it looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. Instead of cutting this out, I'm just going to actually probably just stuff this down in here. Now you can see the stud here and here where we found with our stud finder. In my case, I've got this kind of fiberboard type stuff, which is added insulation, and then on the other side of that is going to be vinyl siding. Make sure this fits. I'm gonna have to trim it some just to make sure it fits, but yeah, it goes in there just perfect. Now, see how it's sticking out some? That's because we haven't cut this guy in the back yet. All right, looks like that looks good. So, mount this guy here. This takes the 6 screws. There you have it. I'm just going to trace out inside because we're going to have to cut that outside wall opening to match that square. Since this is open in the bottom, you can't really trace across there, so flip this upside down. Look at this act of brilliance. Just cut out this kind of exterior insulation panel. Oh, we got one more layer. House wrap. It's like a prison break. Now we gotta crawl out. So here underneath, we've got the gas connection going in, which is, I believe, is a 3/8, if I remember right. It has a built-in regulator here. It says natural gas 5 inches water column is what it regulates it to. So 70% of the 11,000 is like 7,700 BTUs actual output into your house for heating. What I'm gonna do now is I'm getting ready to mount this thing and put our piping out and everything. I'm gonna have to cut a hole in the floor. This house has a crawl space, so we're gonna be running the gas through the floor underneath. So I have to see exactly where I'm gonna drill that hole, but I can't drill it once this is mounted because it's gonna be in the way of the drill. So I've got to put it on here, mark it, take it off, drill the hole, and then I'll have to put my gas pipe valve and everything on here, put it down through the floor before I mount, when I mount it. So that way, once I get it on here, all I have to do is crawl into the house and tie in the gas. So these are all rubber pieces here. They just pop in behind here, like so. These guys got 4 of them, one for each of these screws. It actually goes behind, goes back behind here. That's just temporary. We're gonna take this back off, obviously, because we still gotta put the pipe and stuff through it. You can see I just wanna figure out where this gas is gonna go through. So you can see there's quite a bit of airspace back here from the heater to the wall. It's not mounted right to the wall. It allows that heat out and not have the heat absorbing into the wall as much. Your gas fitting on this, where it connects to the regulator that's included, is a 3/8 NPT, or nominal pipe thread. Here I've got a, just using black pipe, black iron pipe, or black steel pipe. You just go ahead with a bushing adapter, 3/8 to 1/2 inch. I mean, you're probably got 1/2 inch is what's typically already you're going to tie into, or it could be 3/4. So you have to just adapt. A lot of times you would end up doing a flex line. In this case, I'm not bothering with a flex line. I'm just going to go straight through the floor with all black iron. I just didn't want to see this big yellow flexi line down here, but it's not a big deal. The advantage of the flex line is if something doesn't just quite line up, you can flex it around to to connect your gas. I'm not taping it up and everything right now yet because I'm gonna take this back off. I'm just putting on enough now to get towards the floor so I can see where my hole's gonna be is all. Alright, I'll take this back off and drill a hole through the floor. If you're using the black iron pipe with the threaded pipe, you just gotta seal the threads, obviously. Either with, you can do pipe dope, or I'm just using this Teflon tape. It's actually yellow for gas, but I don't know that it makes a difference other than it is a little thicker. So I'm putting a union in so that when it's connected underneath, if you ever need to disconnect this heater for some reason, you can easily just take it apart at the union and lift it right off the gas line that way. Bending. A little bit of warning. It's a lesson that we learned for somebody else. I didn't realize, but taking it down here where this regulator is mounted, if you can see, it actually bent the back of the way this is. It's not. It'd be nice if the regulator was a little mounted a little further down, but it's still doable. I just didn't realize it was going to bend so easy, so I'm not blaming the product. I ended up being able to get this big crescent. It's just like a perfect little sweet spot here where you can kind of get it on at an angle to miss this. This is actually your combustion chamber here, by the way. I can get on the regulator and just barely be able to get it between the bottom of the housing and this combustion chamber to hold it. I should have probably realized that. Didn't really think about it. As it got tighter and tighter, putting all that torque on it, it ended up just bending this. I was able to put this crescent wrench on here, go back the other way. I was able to bend it back. Got a union on top of the valve there, got a union here, so we just mount this, we can put that together. This thermocouple, which is for the thermostat, it's what detects the air that's being drawn up through here for the room air temperature. They temporarily have a zip tie under here just for shipping. You're supposed to cut off that zip tie. This is the thermocouple that just detects. It's how it detects the temperature. You can kind of just mount it underneath here. All right, so here we are outside, where we cut from the inside on this vinyl siding. This is the back side of the heater that's mounted. Both of these pipes are made extra long. In case you had a thicker siding, they make it extra long, so we're gonna have to cut it. I've actually got it already kind of marked, but I'm gonna recheck it here because I'm kind of questioning that a little bit. Just also let you see here, the black pipe is for where your burn gases are coming out, and then your air intake on the outer. So you see how far it's coming out from the wall. Now here's our plate. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna apply silicone to the back side of this to seal all that up. But right now, what I'm doing, like I say, just putting this in here like it's gonna go. What I'm just holding this pipe in against the heater like it's gonna go. This plate against the wall, and then just basically tracing a line around where this connects. And that should tell me where I want to make my cut. Now we just got to go back and make our cut on both of these pipes. Another thing to note, you'll see if I line up these ends, the black pipe is actually longer than the outer pipe. That is because if you look in here where it connects to the heater, the black pipe goes further back. Goes further back on the heater than this pipe, than the outer pipe does. So that's why this one has to be a little bit longer. So we got to take that into account when we cut this one. To determine where to draw the line on this one to cut, as simple as just how much I was cutting off of this, then I just took off that same amount on the black one as well. Actually, let me just put this on first. I have to cut it. Now to line up a screw through here over the heater, which you could actually see through here and see. Because we cut the air and flue gas piping or whatever shorter, this the mounting bolt screw, whatever, has to be cut accordingly as well. And see, they actually put a stop in it here to where you can't screw it in past this point. And that keeps you from going in and actually running it too far into the heater. Alright, so our second install of these direct vent Ashley heaters is done. It's doing exactly what we expected and wanted. It would be great for somebody trying to be off-grid cabin, what have you. I think it's great for, like you said, backup source of heat. You could actually use it for your primary source of heat because it does vent. Just something else to note, whenever you fire this up for the first time, it has a little bit of a smell to it. That's just the materials, the paint, what have you, just kind of curing bacon. You can probably expect to smell a little bit of that, particularly the first day obviously, but then it dissipates in the following days. As far as ease of installation, it's I don't know. I don't even know how to rate that. It's relative, obviously, to your skill set, but it's more so as time consuming, obviously. So just kind of plan for that. Particularly if, are you hooking up your own, running your own gas lines and whatnot, whether it's propane or natural gas or whatnot. Or maybe you're just installing this part of it, cutting the hole in the wall, mounting it, all that good stuff, and then maybe you have somebody else come in and do your gas work. So disclaimer, I'm not teaching you how to do it, any of this. This is for entertainment purposes only. So guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Any questions or comments, please leave it down below, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And by the way, if you did not catch the first video of this series, please do go back and check that out, because a lot of what may not have been talked about in this video probably was in that one. So check them both out. All right, thanks for watching Allegheny Homestead.